white swan like the people in the old days eat a white swan. It's a dainty dish, and if you eat the queen's swans, then one less small child's arm will be broken by a brute's wing. They're the queen's swans, but she only ever visits them about as much, well, it must be said, as the mentally ill auntie that she put in an asylum and then told everyone her auntie was dead. Squat in Windsor Castle, occupied by Moral, you'll find the insides familiar to you. 'Cause the Battenbergs, ex-Coburgs, who chose all the decor, well, they're from Eastern Europe too. Last verse is just for any tourists who are here in tonight, attracted by the International Comedy Festival. If you can't tell which of the young princes is which, then this trick ought to help you to do it. William is the one that looks just like his mum, and Harry just like Major James Hewitt. If you, next time you're sitting at home and you get cold called by a privatised multi-utility company, Power Gen, BT, British Gas, you know, phoning up saying, are you interested in making savings on electricity bill? What do we always do? We always get defensive. I always go, no, I don't live here, I don't speak English, and electricity, goodbye. Don't do that, don't do that. Don't do that. This is payback time. What you do is you say, savings on my electricity bill? Oh yeah, sounds really interesting. Hold on 1 second. You are held in a queue and will be answered shortly. Oxfam wrote a book about their time in Nicaragua, in between selling the Big Country albums, and it was called The Threat of a Good Example. I remember thinking, how can a good example be a threat? Good example, because you've got a military dictator, Somoza overthrown by a popular revolution, followed by democratic elections that returned the Sandinistas. But how can it be a threat? I twisted my melon until I come upon something written by George Kennan. In 1953, he was the head of the US State Department, considered a dove. George Kennan wrote about Guatemala. He said, Guatemala has become an increasing threat to the stability of El Salvador and Honduras. Its broad social program, evading the workers and peasants in a victorious struggle against the upper classes and large foreign enterprises, has a strong propaganda appeal to its Central American neighbors where similar conditions prevail. See, what happened in 1951 was that Jacobo Arbenz had been elected president of Guatemala by a landslide majority on a mandate of land redistribution, but then the strangest, weirdest thing happened. All the things that Jacobo Arbenz said he'd do before the election, when he gets into power, he only starts doing them. Now, in Britain, we cannot imagine this, right? This is such, in fact, it's such a convention of British political life that our politicians, they're not going to do any of the things they tell us are, in fact, they're going to do the opposite. That, well, is it just me, or as it seems that our politicians, they're no longer even bothering to lie convincingly?
Oh yeah, we really want to keep the NHS in public hands. I mean, imagine if we was to privatise 60 hospitals in a single month. Don't bear thinking about, really, do it? Students paying to go to university. Ooh. Shocking. Over my dead body. Yeah. What sort of world we living in, eh?
US military aid frozen during the dark days of the Jacobo Arbenz democracy begins to flow when US-sponsored military coup propels Colonel Carlos Castillo en masse, trained at Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, into power. Becomes a bloodbath, abolition of elections and the secret ballot and the banana. I'm losing my thread slightly because a few days ago, a synapse is flashing in my mind at this moment, reminding me that a few days ago I agreed to do a coast-to-coast US stand-up tour of this show. It's going to go well, I think. I don't know why I agreed. I don't know why I agreed to do it, man. I don't know why I thought this would be such a good idea. The theory was it was to help, promote me novel, Fountain-Centered World. But the novel has nothing to do with the stand-up tour, and the stand-up tour has nothing to do with the novel. The stand-up and the novel are not the same. So I don't know why. Except, alas, I do know all too well why I agreed to do it. It's because I suffer very badly from a very strong will to fail. You know what I mean? It's that voice in the back of your mind that pretends to be your friend but secretly wishes to destroy your entire life. You know what I mean? That voice in the back of your head that says, you have to get up early in the morning tomorrow. Why not go tonight, have a few drinks? It will help you sleep. It's fun having a US publisher, though, because you have to change little things, and it's like trainers, because they don't know what trainers are, so you put sneakers, and you see it, oh, sneakers, and and then, of course, the boot of a car is the trunk of a car, and obviously I cut out all the anti-capitalism stuff and that, and so, well, you got to go where the money is, you know what I'm saying? It just helps the narrative, I think. Jose Arevalo, who was briefly in Jack Bentz's 51-person coalition, which included 4 communists, 4 too many, said the Allies may have won the Second World War, but unfortunately, the ideology which won was not that of Roosevelt, but that of Hitler. Because World War II, that's the good war. That's the mantle of righteousness that every humanitarian intervention must wrap itself in to show the benevolence of our purpose. Because you can have such a thing as a good war, that's why the left and the Labour Party never oppose wars like Kosovo, because it's possible to have a good war. That's why they never come out against all the wars they should, because you can have, it's a good war. There was this good war. Just because the enemy you're fighting is evil, don't make you good. And the motives of those doing the fighting very different from those controlling the fighting. Hitler comes to power from 29, takes power in 33. US corporate investment, meanwhile, declines everywhere on continental Europe apart from one country, Nazi Germany, where between 1929 and 1940 it increases by 48.5%. That's almost 50% on a graph. That would be like this. Obviously different in some sectors. Ford about this, Coca-Cola, Texaco, General Motors, IBM, ITT, International Harvester, and Union Banking Corp. You may have wondered to yourself, how did the Bush family get so rich they could afford to buy not 1 but 2 presidents? Union Banking Corp. Back in the 30s, George W.'s grandpappy, Bush one's pappy, Prescott Bush, partners with father-in-law George Walker and family firm Union Banking Corp, which spends the 1930s raising $50 million for the Nazis selling German bonds on Wall Street until the operation is wound up in 1942 by the trading with the enemy. And you see, we're not just going after the terrorists, we're going after those who raise finances and funds for the terrorists, except for my daddy, who sits on the board of the Carlyle Group that handles the Bin Laden family investments. But everybody else, we're going to nail them motherfucking asses. Let me tell you about that. Almost got to feel sorry, don't you, for George W. with a dad like that? Oh my God, Peter, it's time to organise a what? God bless son, when it's right up to here. Oh, you are a despicable and dirty little guts. I did not expect for like some you to appreciate the finer points of international diplomacy. Oh, it is so very complicated. I was good friends with Kofi and then I decided not to go to war with Syria at all. I've never asked you for much, just a little war to take me over me last day. Oh, Dad, there's no need to be like that. Oh, Dad, but you get to fight the Republican Guard. What do I get to? I go broke. It's over. But it's perfect. If Ford is under special dispensation from Breckinridge Long, Under Secretary of State for Trade, is making tanks and jeeps for the Wehrmacht in Cologne in 1941, more US tax dollars to Ford Detroit. The richer the Carlyle Group makes the Bin Laden family, the longer and longer that corporate trough with so very many snouts in it, known as the Pentagon system, is allowed to grow. 1 in 3 US tax dollars goes to the Pentagon. 1 in 3. This in a country with Freudian slip. Mr. Freud, you've been reading. Mr. Freud, Mr. Mark, come on, please. This in a country with 16 million unemployed, and according to the Bureau of Labour Statistics,